Hello everyone and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is May the 8th, 2025, and I just couldn't refuse him when he kept asking to get up. So we know he isn't going to stay long, but I noticed lately that he likes to get up in my lap and cuddle a lot more than usual, but he's a little bit sickly, and I'm going to give him all the loving I can while I still have him. So you can say hello to the people. Let them know that you wanted to get up and see them. So first, very quickly, I did finish the ruffle on Kiki's dress, and I'm much happier with it now. I think it looks better than when it was plain. So we'll just set that there for now, and I'll get it back up here before the next time I'm online. And what I am wearing, and I think you'll notice, it's the same thing that I was wearing last week, I'm pretty sure, but I didn't have anything else that kind of matched my top. And I really do like this. It's very, yeah, my lap isn't really big enough, is it? Yeah, you're sliding out. It's very, very soft and cuddly, and I wanted to wear it again. And I had somebody ask me or say that they really, really wished they knew what the pattern was. They would love to make it. So I am going to go through my EFA. I know it's an EFA crocheted shawl if you want to look through it for the variety of stitches. I'm going to look through their patterns one more time, and hopefully before I there he goes. Hopefully before I upload this video on Thursday, I will have found which pattern it is, and I will do my best to link it in the description box. So take a look there and see if I was fortunate enough to find it. I like this pattern because it had a variety of stitches, and otherwise it was very plain, just a plain triangular shawl, but every section had a different stitch in it. And of course this yarn is wonderful. Before I get going, first of all, I don't want to forget to welcome everybody. I want to welcome all my returning viewers. I appreciate that you take time out of your week and out of your Thursdays to spend a little time with me and hear me gab on. Apparently you enjoyed the sort of chat that we had last week. At least I'm thinking it was last week. I'm kind of losing track of my days and my weeks. And I also want to welcome any new viewers that may have happened by me by chance, maybe for the first time, or that have been sent over by some other YouTube creators. I really do hope you enjoy what I have to offer, and that you will give me a like and come back again. Maybe even subscribe. So I have a few things to talk about before we get to the purpose of today. Actually, I have two purposes today, and one is to show you some more yarn from a couple of the Canadian provinces, and the other is to do one final Ravelry tutorial. So before I get started with all that, for those that are new, we do, I got something in my eye. Actually, both of them. Hopefully it's gone. We do a monthly mal here, and then I do a slideshow at the end of every month. And that would have been, well, last week, because it's only the 8th, and I'm filming before the 8th. So on the 31st or the 30th of April, we did a slideshow that you might want to go back and check. We had 46 or 47 people participate in that slideshow. And while I'm mentioning that, I want to send out my apologies to Vicky. I forget where Vicky is from. I have two Vickies that submit, but one of the Vickies sent me a photo and it didn't get into the slideshow last week. And you can imagine sometimes it's a bit confusing and it's easy to miss one when you're doing that many pictures. But I'm going to just put Vicky's picture up here of a shawl she sent. I do recall that the colors are quite faded, and I did mention to you that that did happen for a few people in the items they sent. Now, to go along with this, the reason I bring up the mal is that I know a number of you also post your pictures other places. Some of you are YouTube creators and you show them on your channel. Definitely if it's a Ravelry pattern, you do a project page, but a number of you post them in Instagram. I do appreciate that, and you usually do put my channel name, but I'd appreciate if also you use the hashtag. I'll try to put it on the screen here, but it's in the description box every single week. Hashtag Judy's Mal 2025. When you're posting on Ravelry, not Ravelry, Instagram, if you would use that hashtag, I would very much appreciate it. Then all the pictures are in one file and I can go and check there and see what everybody is making over the course of the year, because I don't think I get contacted in Instagram about all of your postings. So that's one way for me to check out what people are putting there. So I meant to tell you last week and I forgot. So I'm bringing it up this week. Now, we want to talk about finished objects. So I'm going to start with, sorry, this is not a finished object. I feel it's finished because I finished one cake of the two cakes balls that I have. As you know, I work regularly on a blanket when Rose and I go to her therapy. She did not have to go to therapy this week, but I did find time to work on. I finished one complete ball. Now this is exactly, it measured 30 inches at one point, so I have to guess it's still 30 inches in width. And one ball took me to about 23 inches, and I won't need to do all of the second ball. I will have some left over. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with these small amounts of this big thick blanket yarn. I'll worry about that later. But this is one complete ball of the yarn. And next Monday when we go to the hospital, I'll be working on the second ball. So I would kind of like, I'll probably work on it some other times as well. And I would kind of like to finish this up in May. It is a heavier blanket material, and get out one of my maybe 3 weights to work on a blanket in June. So that's one thing I did do this week. And somebody did ask me, and I'm using an N or a 9.0 millimeter hook. So we'll just put that away for now. And I did complete an item. Last week I showed you a cake. Red Heart Roll With It Sparkle, I believe. I don't have, oh yes I do. This is the ball band from it. And it is in the color Magic. The color Magic. And I had some left over. The second ball, I had this much left at the end. And I took out a teeny bit of the blue in the beginning because I was trying to color control, you'll see in a minute. And in the first ball, I didn't want so much yellow, but I also took out some of the purple, and at the end, some of the I had that green left over. So bits and pieces of both balls, so it does not take 2 entire cakes. And this is what, first of all, I'm going to put a picture here, or maybe I'll cover the screen with a picture of it lying on the floor. Now here is a picture of the actual shawl or wrap. There's the middle, and then it goes out both directions. This is called Wrapped in Sunshine. So you can see, now there are a few things about it that bother me. First of all, the square in the center, it is a square that you turn on point, is smaller, and it gets bigger as you go out, which is typical of granny squares that do get bigger farther out. But she should have found a way to make this center one bigger to go along with it. I'm sure there is a way. The other thing is, as you can see when I hold it up, these points, every time you start it, they fall over. They don't stand up. And I don't know a way to make them stand up. So what I want, the reason I wasn't showing you when I started it last week is because I was planning in the summer, you know, I do a summer crochet along, strictly crochet along. And this summer I was going to collaborate with Cathy from Yarn with Heart to do a crochet along. And we both tried this out. I like to try things out before we do it. And we both decided we were not happy with the finished product, because how do you make these stand up unless you're going to put starch in it, which is something I don't want to do. And neither one of us were completely pleased with the final project. The thing that made it, we thought, a good project to pick is, yes, it is on Ravelry. She also has a blog where you can go, I believe, and see the pattern free. And she has a tutorial on YouTube. Now this, as I said, was called Wrapped in Sunshine, and the colors, really, the colors are beautiful. The beautiful rainbow by Tanya Bush. And I think a number of you must have heard of her before. She's not new on the scene. I've seen her before in other places. But we didn't feel comfortable doing this, first of all, because we're not happy with the way it looks in the end. And I used the written pattern, and Cathy used the tutorial. We want to check them both out. I don't like to be too negative about people, but I also want to be honest with you, my viewers. This is not a pattern for a beginner, not because it's a hard pattern, because it definitely isn't a hard pattern. This is an 8-row repeat, every one of these, and you can see, actually it's a 4-row, 4 rows. You repeat it twice to get 8 rows in each section. And as you can see, there are puffs, and there are also back post double crochets. And when you start each new color, that was one of my problems. What she said didn't make a whole lot of sense, and I had to decide what I was going to do for the beginning one. So it meant that I had to alter the first stitch and the last stitch so they would be the same. And after you've done the puff stitches, you do a row of solid. And again, she's not quite plain enough to know where you're doing them. And what I knew was that this solid row had to be an odd number, so that after you do your post, you go to these windows and you have to have an odd number to do windows. And if you followed the general directions, you weren't going to get an odd number. And I even went, and there was one place I was trying to decide where is she putting her hook, and I went and looked at her video, and she really didn't do a close-up enough in the video for me to be sure where she was going. I just felt that it wasn't as complete as you needed it to be, especially if you're a beginner. I had to make some of my own decisions to make sure I had the right numbers. And after, I think she gives you numbers for the square, but after that, when you continue on, she does not give you numbers. She doesn't give you row counts. So Cathy and I decided, and she had some problems. She wrote down notes from the tutorial of concerns she had, and we just decided it was not a pattern we wanted to recommend for our followers to do a cowl with. Now, some of you could do it and you wouldn't have any problem, but like I said, if you are a novice crocheter, there are decisions have to be made, and that's based on experience in crocheting. So I would just take that bit of information and think about whether you would do this or not. I will link the Ravelry. I will link the Ravelry pattern in my description box, and if I think about it, I'll try to remember to link the YouTube tutorial as well. So I did that this past week. I had just barely started it last week, and so I finished it this past week. And it is very, very pretty, and I'm using this to submit in Gary's mal, and I don't want to go into the whole long backstory as to how I chose this. If I have time another week, I might, but I needed multicolors, and that cake worked, and it seemed to be a good choice for this particular pattern. It did look good in it, but unfortunately, the pattern isn't something I would highly recommend. So we'll leave that. Now, I have gotten a start on my May butterfly project. I haven't decided if I'm happy with it or not, but I've started. I'm sort of doing my own thing, so hopefully I can show it to you in another week. So what I want to do now is get going on the yarn from across Canada, as you know, and those that are new here, we thought, it was suggested to me that I might like to go in my stash and pull out a whole bunch of yarn, and particularly pull out Canadian indie dyers, because I have been focusing on Canadian dyers for the last probably close to 2 years. And somebody thought it would be nice to see what's in my stash. So I have covered British Columbia and I have covered Alberta. Now I'm going to show you a map. So we did British Columbia, we did Alberta. Today, because these two provinces have a large number of dyers, particularly Alberta. But when we get to Saskatchewan and Manitoba, very, very few dyers in those provinces. So I'm going to start with Saskatchewan, that has only 2, and then go to Manitoba, and I only have 3 from there. So I'm going to do both of those today. So starting with Saskatchewan, I'm going to put up the province all by itself. And hopefully you can see, for my US neighbors to get a feel for where we are, you can see along the southern border, there's a little bit of Montana and a little bit of North Dakota. North Dakota also goes under Manitoba. And I put two numbers on there. One is to represent Regina, which is the capital of the province. This shows all the capitals. And the other number up from Regina a little ways is a place called Waltrus. And that is the only place I'm familiar with from today's yarn talk. I'm going to start with Midknits, a yarn company in Waltrus, Saskatchewan. So you get an idea kind of where it is in the province. Now, as usual, it's called Midknits Craving, actually, yarn company. And the the website is Midknit Cravings. So Midknit does not have an S, Midknit Cravings with an S.com. As you know, I will list all of the yarn companies and their web addresses in my description box. Now, this company is a company that was started by two sisters, Jaden and Tara, who had learned to crochet and knit from a very young age from their grandmothers. And eventually it progressed into hand-dyed yarn. When they discovered how gorgeous hand-dyed yarn was, I guess that led to them wanting to try it for themselves. Now, they do not have a storefront, and it does say on their site, for those that may be in the area, although I don't think I have a single viewer from Saskatchewan. I have Alberta and Manitoba, but I don't think Saskatchewan. But anyway, you could make an appointment to drop by and see the yarn. But they're online, and you can order their products online. They have yarns that are speckled, variegated, they have tonals, they have semi-solids. Some of the bases that they have are sock, merino linen, 100% superwash merino, merino nylon, and the yarns come in sport, DK, fingering of course, mohair silk, worsted and bulky. The mohair silk comes in a half skein, in other words 50 grams, because that would be a very light lace weight. And their yarn starts at $34 a skein. Shipping is very reasonable, and their shipping starts at $8, at least Canadian. Any numbers I give you are in Canadian funds, and for me to ship one skein would be $8, which is quite reasonable. And that's about all I can tell you, or that I know about Midknits Craving. But I do have some yarn to show you. And one, not exciting, but I do buy black infrequent, like every so often, from different companies, because, well, this year we're using black, but I like to use black as a good color for contrast with the brighter colors. So there's a black, and it's 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. It has 400 meters, it's 437 yards, and it's called wrought iron. So that's one of theirs. And then I have two skeins of the same thing. So I'll just hold up one. And there you can see their label. Help if I put it right side up, wouldn't it? Midknits Cravings. And this is same, oh, it says 84 superwash merino and 16% stellina. Can you see that sparkle? You can understand why I bought it. And it has 388 meters, 425 yards. This is called Geode, Geode. And I quite like the colors, and I really like the sparkle, and I'll probably put the two together to make a shawl. So that is what I have from Mid Knits Cravings. I haven't ordered a lot from them. The next one from Saskatchewan, this was given to me as a gift, and it's called Pearl Passions. And I don't know where they are in Saskatchewan. I really wish more designers would put their information right there on the home page saying where they're located. This did not have a lot of information except that the person dying was, she had an about us, and she was originally from Nova Scotia and now lives in Saskatchewan, and she is a single person with 2 children, and she does the dyeing in her basement. So you know that it would be a small business as well. And I think her goal is to work it up so that she can work. She has a full-time job right now, but I think she wants to get this to the point where this would be a full-time job, and then she could stay home with her children. Now she has fingering and sparkle and DK and worsted. Also, she has the normal fingering 85-15 fingering merino nylon, and then 75-15 and 10 stellina. She also fingering, sparkle, DK worsted, bulky, which is 100% superwash merino. And she says she's an avid knitter and she is learning to crochet. Now her yarn starts at $30 a skein. That's reasonable. And the shipping started at $15, so a little bit more than the last one. And as I said, I only have one skein from her, and I only have it because I don't think I'd ever heard of them before. I was given this as a gift. And see the sparkle in it? So this is 80 merino. Oh, this is a little bit more. It has 80 merino, 10 cashmere, and 10 stellina. It has 369 yards, and it's called Tiny Sock. As I said, I was given it as a gift. If I recall correctly, this might be a gift from Cathy, who maybe saw it at a yarn festival. Did you get this at the yarn festival in Barrie, Cathy? It's quite pretty. And it is sparkle, which we all know is a favorite of mine, sparkle. Okay, so we'll put that aside. And now we'll move into Manitoba. There are a few more dyers in Manitoba. I don't have a lot from Manitoba, only 3. And the first one is Fireweed. I've ordered from them a couple of times. I may have originally found them on Etsy, but they definitely, oh, back it up. I forgot to tell you that the last one, Pearl Passion, is pearlpassion.com. Sorry, I forgot that. Next is Fireweed, and it's fireweedfiberco.com. Now, I'm going to show you the map of Manitoba, and you can see where, I hope it has it marked. I forgot to look. If not, I will make sure it does. It has the capital, which is Winnipeg, marked on it. I don't think, just in case the other one doesn't, you can see where Winnipeg is, quite far south. And I did not find the location of any of these places, but I believe they are all in the Winnipeg area. If not right in Winnipeg, then they're very close to Winnipeg. I can't swear to fireweed, but that's what I think. Anyhow, they are Fireweed Fiber Company CO. Fiberweedfiberco.com. They had a sales section on their site. They also have spinning fiber, or some call it roving. And some of the different yarns they have are Targhee bamboo silk, merino silk flax, merino alpaca, Polworth, BFL. They have tweeds. They have lace, as well as fingering, of course, and DK. And they have minis. They have an Advent, I believe. They have some leather goods on their site. So a fair bit to check out. Their yarn starts, the basic that I compare, the merino nylon usually, starts at $34 a skein. And the shipping started at $14.86. So again, pretty reasonable. These are Canadian numbers. Now I have a little bit more from Fiberweed. I have one that is coming apart, but you can see that I love those colors. And this is, and of course, this is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. An MCN yarn, as they call it. This is very plush. The thickness of the strand is a little more than some other yarns. It really does feel nice, but of course it has cashmere in it. And I don't know if I can tell you much else about it. It does say hand dyed in Winnipeg. So they are in Winnipeg. And this is very soft. Now I have two others from them. I made an order from them a while back because I particularly wanted their tweed. I really like a good tweed. I have another one of their tweeds. I think I already used the tweed, maybe purple. It was a purple tweed. There's a black tweed. And I have two of this, I would call it wine. Now it says, isn't that interesting? It says, no wonder I got two. It says it's a DK and that there are 212 meters in this. But what does this say? This says there are 398 meters, which would make it a fingering. But this looks thicker than this. That's very interesting. This is a DK, so it says. The other one is not. And here's another fireweed. Again, the same base as this, but this one is darker. This one is lighter. And one last skein from Fireweed. And this one, hand-dyed in Winnipeg. This one is 50% merino and 50% silk. And it does feel very silky. Yes, I quite like that. Very, very nice. Yes. So that is Fireweed in Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm wondering if it was them. I can't remember who the one is that I ordered a Christmas Advent from. Fireweed, I'm thinking might be the one, and it was about gnomes. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Oops, I have one more fireweed sitting here. And this one is merino, cashmere, and nylon like the first one. And look at those colors. Yeah, now this is the kind of yarn that has pops of colors that I think is a good choice for what's called planned pooling. And that's something we're going to talk about later on, maybe in the summer. This is called Unicorn Sprinkles. Lots of pretty colors in there. And it feels nice as well. So we'll put those all over there. Now, the next company, this is a company I heard about from Diane at My Pink Bathtub. She had run into her, I don't know if she was in her store or if she saw her at a fiber festival, but I saw Diane talking about her, and that made me have a look at her site. And that's called Remy's Rovings, REMII''S Rovings. Now she is on Etsy. She's in Manitoba, and I have to guess that she's also in the Winnipeg area. And she has fingering and sock weight. She has bulky and super bulky, worsted, lace, tweed, and mohair. I could not determine how her shipping went, but her basic nylon merino blend, it looks like it's $30 a skein, so that's quite reasonable. Even on Etsy, when I put something in my cart, which usually shows the shipping, did not show me the shipping. She also has quite a bit of yarn. She has yarn and notions like stitch markers and things like that. And she also has roving for spinning. So I'll show you what I got there. The first thing I got, another pink, and she includes this stitch marker, the poodle, on all of them because Remy, I believe, is her poodle. Now, I may be wrong, but that's what I think is the reason for that poodle. And this is called Barbie, and it's 84 superwash merino and stellina, and then 16% nylon. You can see the stellina in there, and that is a very pretty color of pink too, but totally different than the last one. Feels quite nice. Remy's Rovings and Yarned. And I will link her Etsy store. And then the other thing I wanted to get was some mohair. This is 80% merino, 10% mohair, and 10% cashmere. And this is only 50 grams, 350 meters. Oh, that is so soft. You can see all the fuzz on it. Very, very soft. Yeah, mohair and cashmere. And this one seems to have lost its label. I'm thinking it might be the same makeup as this, but the color is different. And again, we have the poodle charm on all of them. Very, very soft. But I don't know that I could put them together. They feel wonderful. Wonderful. I don't know why I got off on pink from all that order. And finally, I have an order from Smash Knits, and I think I have ordered from them more than once in the past. They also are in the Winnipeg area. And this is a company, a husband and wife team, Norm and Ashley. And she started out as a knitwear company in 2004, and then started to move into yarn and notions and accessories. And they have quite a few wooden notions. Her husband makes the wooden items, things like gauges and pattern placeholders and some stitch markers and sock blockers. They also have some project bags and yarn cozies, and of course, yarn and spinning yarn, or roving again. And their sock yarn, or the basic that I do the comparison of, is $32 a skein. Some of their bases are sock, DK, lace. The lace is mohair silk. They also have Surrey fluff. They have fingering weight, worsted weight, and they have some mini skeins. And again, most of these companies, you know, the stock changes. They may say they carry one thing and you don't see that in their site at the time you're there, and they may have something different. And then another time, because, you know, they die in cycles. So the first one I got from them is this Super Sock Superwash Merino 85 and Nylon 15. There's 437 yards and a really nice blend of different colors of purple and mauves and a little bit of gray. And it feels very nice for a standard merino nylon blend. And this is called The Never Ending Story. And I have a second one from them, although I'm sure I've had others in the past. This one's called Candy Floss, and it's the same base as the last one. And it has really nice teals and pinks and brown, sort of brown, pink, purples. Again, a quite pretty color. So that brings us to the end of, did I mention that their shipping is $8 for a single skein? I didn't do more than that. I just like to see where they start their shipping, and $8 is a very good price. They used to do an advent. I believe Diane has done their advents in the past, but she's not doing one this year. So that brings us to the end of looking at yarn in two of the prairie provinces. And I hope you enjoyed seeing these. And again, maybe they will be companies that you'll have a look at and you'll see something that appeals to you. Now, seemed to me there were a couple of, I know an important thing I want to tell you about, and this video is going to end up being longer than I like, but we should have announced this earlier, but Lynanne from Nina's Knots Crochet and I are collaborating this spring on a pattern that we both wanted to do. So we decided to get together and offer it as a challenge. And it's called the Riptide, and I'll put a picture of it in the corner. The Riptide pattern by Mariana Mueller. And for those that have been around, you will recognize the name because I did a designer focus on her last spring, late spring, early summer. And I do a number of her patterns. I really like her patterns. And this particular pattern is on my Make 9 for this year. And when Lynanne was talking about it, I said to her, well, you want to do something together? She says, great. So we're going to do what is called the Riptide Challenge. Riptide Challenge. We're not calling it a crochet along because, first of all, the pattern is a challenge, And we are challenging you. This is coming off somehow. We are challenging you to this pattern because it is, it's not totally beginner. I don't think it's going to be difficult. Haven't done it yet. This is one of those ones that I haven't done before we start. But I do know, you can tell from that picture that it takes a lot of colors. It can be done in two different ways. I'm going to do it one way, and Lynanne is going to do it the other way. And it has short rows in it, quite a few short rows all through it. So that is a really new thing for me. So what we're going to do, and I know this is not a lot of notice, but next Thursday, we're going to do a live show on my channel as a kickoff, and we're going to do it at 11 a.m. So it's already been set up. If you want to go to my home page on YouTube, if you click my logo, it takes you to my home page, and if you look under live, it'll show you the video, and you can hit it to be notified. It is next Thursday, that's May the 15th at 11 a.m. And Lynanne and I will be there to talk about the pattern, show you our yarn, and a bunch of other things. So I just wanted to make sure you know and are aware of that next week. Now, one more important thing, and I hope you'll stick around to after. I'm going to insert a little video, and after the video I will come back and finish up. And I did one more Ravelry tutorial because I was quite sure I had not done a tutorial on how to do an advanced search. And so I've done a tutorial on that. If you know how to do an advanced search, if you've already done advanced searches on Ravelry, you can fast forward through this tutorial. But that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to cut away to that tutorial. So here we go. All right, today I want to show you another feature that I didn't show you before in all of the tutorials, and that is, excuse me, how to do an advanced search. I'm sure many of you have used this patterns up here where you get the box and you can fill in, as it says, the name of the pattern, the designer, a book. You can put a keyword in there as well. We're going to look at how to use this advanced search. So when you click that on, so give it a minute, it opens up and you see there is filter your search, and you're going to hit that arrow. And it opens up a box, a long box that gives you, I'll show you the long box. It gives you lots of different ways to search. Now, you can save your search as well if you might want to look at it again. Or maybe it's a very long, it gives you a lot of options and you want to come back to it. Now, mine is automatically set for crochet because I don't do anything else, but you can just do knitting or both crochet and knitting, and you see there are some other choices there as well. It is my belief that they should add a category and have people indicate Tunisian crochet as well, but at the moment it's not separate. Now, when I was doing the search, and that's the first search I'm going to take you through, is how I searched to find items that were single skein items. And since I was looking at fingering weight yarn, I came down here, and most fingering weight is between 400 and 450, although some gets up to 500. So in my case, I was going to get more than I wanted, but still it would filter it down. And I believe I checked both 300 to 450 and 450 to 600. So I'm going to do that again, just to show you how I did it. But I'm going to do a different search in a minute. Then the next thing was match any of these, that's fine. I don't want to match it from my favorites or my libraries. I definitely wanted to do it from the whole of Ravelry, so I didn't check any of these. Then I looked at the categories of items. It could give me everything, and as you can see up here, this is gonna, oh, there it is, okay. You can see how many patterns there are. There's almost 56,000 in the one and almost 35 in the other. So over 90,000 patterns, and I'm not going to want to see all of those. But down here, we can pick the category of items. I don't want things for pets or toys and hobbies or even the home. I don't think I even with a single skein want to look at clothing. What could I make in clothing? So I am going to open accessories. Now accessories gives me another menu to look through. And mostly, as you know, what I like to make are shawls and scarves and that kind of thing. So, I mean, yes, you could find items that are bags if you want, or for hands, hats. I don't make hats. So I'm just going to check neck, torso. That opens another menu, and I can pick the kinds of things I like. So I could pick cowl. I could pick poncho, scarf, and shawl. So you see the numbers, shawl didn't highlight. So you see in those numbers, they're using the above filters and telling me there are just over, well, 5,500 cowls. There are 780, almost 8. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. 800 ponchos, a lot of scarves, and a large number, 4,500 shawls. And at that point, that's probably enough, but let's go back over and see if there's anything else. Do you want it to have a picture? I'm going to say yes. Without a picture, you wouldn't know what you're making. And I can get rid of all of that now. And I'm going to continue on to see what else I can look at. Do I want it to have some special techniques, special pattern instructions, or special shape? I'm not going to collect any of those. Do I want it for any particular age? And the other thing I'm going to do is pick fingering. So that's put my list down to 2,300. And I think that's all I need to worry about at this point. So now they have been sorting as we go. And I'll just move this out of the way. Now you have that 2,376 matches, and we start up here. Now, this will not be a perfect list. I will go through it, and that's what I did, and I will pick out items like I did for you and put them in a bundle to have a look at. So I'm really curious to look at this one because I don't think I looked at it before, and it happens to be, so we'll look at it. It is fingering weight, and it uses 394 to 437. That is perfect for one skein of yarn. It tells me it has baubles or popcorn. I'm not a fan of them. It's one piece, has post stitches, it's textured, and it has a written pattern. I'd like to see a picture of that. See the baubles? This is an example I'll be showing you later of what would be called, wouldn't you know what the word escapes me right now, planned pooling. And I'm going to talk about that at a later date. So this is a pattern I would put in that bundle. And the other thing I would do is probably look at the 5 projects. And there's one, it's all one color. Can't see that one too well, it's dark. But this one gives you an idea of how it looks in a solid color. And this is one where they've done some planned pooling with it. So let's go back. So I would keep going through these patterns. This is definitely a 1 skein. That's a 1 skein. That looks like, I think it's it uses the right amount if you look at the yardage, and I have a feeling it must be one of those cakes, color changing cakes. So again, it could go in my bundle. But I mean, as I go down, I would look at something like this, and when I'm looking for a 1 skeined item, this is not likely going to be it. It used, 437. But to me, it looks like she used 2 different colors. And this one up here looked like she used 2 colors. One a solid for that neutral and one a color changing. It is, I think I saw, it's Tunisian. So I didn't, of course, put it in my bundle. So that's how I used it, to get that bundle. But you go through it and you'll find some items that just won't fit in your parameters because you want a single skein item. And some of these definitely use 2 colors. Now I'm going to do another search with you just to show you another way to use this. So I'm going to bring this over. Okay. And I'm going to go back up to the top. Again, I only want crochet. This time I'm going to take off the restrictions in the yardage. And I'm going to take them off because at the moment I don't care about the size. What I'm going to do is a search for my monthly mal. And this month I have 2 skeins, and I want to make something with 2 skeins. So, but they are 2 different colors. So I'll show you how you can do that. Let's work through this. I took off the yardage. I might go back and put it in. 2 skeins is $750 to $900. I might put that restriction in, but right now I'm leaving it alone. And then where they come from, I don't care. Again, I have the same, see it says under accessories, I've picked cowl, poncho, and scarf. That covers asymmetrical scarves. It also covers what I would call a wrap. So I'm not going to change that. I still want to make something like that. Now let's keep going and I'll show you other things. Now it wants to know if you only want free patterns. There you go. Hit free patterns. And there are 13,500, almost 600. I never generally restrict it there. Do I want a photo? I'm going to say yes. Attributes. You may want a certain design element in it. You might want a certain crochet technique. Just let me pick one of those crochet techniques so you can see what's involved. So, do you want Irish crochet? Do you want Tunisian? Here is where you can restrict it to strictly Tunisian. Do you want to do something with filet crochet? There it is. Do you like to do post? Do you want to do pineapple? I mean, there are lots of different ideas. What I don't see here is mosaic. You'd think they would have that in there, but they don't. And I don't want to pick anything particular, so we're going to take that out. You can check these other categories. Maybe design elements would have mosaic. I did crochet techniques. So anyway, you can check through those. I might look at pattern instructions to see about charts. I like to see if there is a chart, or you want it to be a certain shape. Then do you want for children or adults? Do you want a male or a female? Different things like that. Weight, I want fingering weight, because that's the yarn I have. Fingering weight. Then keep going. Do you want to use, and here are different ways you can use 1 strand, 2 strands, everything like that. And here is where I'm going to click 2 colors. I want some item that is made with 2 different colors of yarn, and I'm going to click 2 colors. If you've got, say you've bought a kit and it had 4 colors in it, then you could pick that. So it means that we have filtered it down to only 194 patterns to look at. And that's doable. Now, I think there are a few other things down here. Where do I want to get it from? I don't care. Do I care about the hook size or anything like that? You can even choose your difficulty. I find they're all, pretty close to the same. So we've selected the things they want. Now I'll be able to look at items that are only 2 colors. So let's pull this up here. And there are 5 pages. That is quite manageable in my mind. So let's pick one to look at. I'll just look at this one. It doesn't look like 2 colors to me, but you know what I think? I think it's 2 skeins of color changing, or 2 cakes that are color changing. I don't have that. I have just 2 plain colors of yarn. So let's see. Well, here's something interesting. Oops, you can't see what I'm doing. Here's something that is just 2 colors, and I've clicked it, and then we'll see how it works. Okay, that might be of interest to me in using those 2 skeins. And look up here. It says it uses 1,000 to 1,100 yards. So it might not work for me because each of my skeins has 437 yards. So I probably can't make this item. So I'm going to go back and see what else we have to look at. Now, if I really wanted to get into something, my 2 colors, I don't think have enough contrast to do something like this item, or even this. I just did similar to this. Calm Waters is very similar to this Beautiful Souls. Now, there's something that's kind of interesting. That looks to me like 2 gradient cakes that have been worked together. Now, here's something that might work. And as you can see, I can only get so much on the screen at once. She's doing squares in each of the 2 different colors and putting them together in a scarf. Interesting. Not what I'm looking for. So let's see what else we have. This might work. And this might work. And I'm going to go to the next page just to take a little further look, and then I'll finish off. Now, there's something that's definitely, I have to think they have different colors within the skein. Definitely 2 colors there. 2 colors here, but I don't have enough yarn for all of that. Very interesting, this one. They've got one solid color, and then they have a color changing cake maybe, and I really like the look of that. This has got 2 colors, they're alternating. Same thing here, 2 colors are alternating. That looks nice. And so does this. I'm just going to open it up and just see what that's about. I think it's color changing cakes that they're alternating. Doesn't take as much yarn as I'm going to have. And I don't think that would work the best with what I have. So that just shows you how you, now there is definitely a good choice for me to consider. Every other panel or section uses the alternating colors. I used between 400 and 800, which is good, but it is in Tunisian. So those of you that do Tunisian crochet, there is a very, very good choice and a very interesting example to work on. Obviously, I don't do Tunisian. It doesn't work with the way I hold my hook, so that won't work for me. But I have actually, I will finish looking at the choices they've given me. There are 5 pages to go through. I already have a bundle with 2 colored options, but some of these are new to me, so I will go through it later. But I hope in that quick little bit that you saw how you can make use of the search, the advanced search, by using this over here and putting in filters to narrow down your search to find things specific. I also have a bundle of 3 colored items for, 3 skeins that match. And that's how I found the items for the bundle of minis and various other bundles. So I hope that has been of some help to you. All right, I'm back. And I hope you found that helpful and worthwhile. And I apologize that this video has gotten just a bit long, but I have one last thing before we leave. And that is, this Sunday is Mother's Day. And first of all, I want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I hope it is a special day for you to celebrate with your family, and I just want to wish you a happy Mother's Day. And because it's Mother's Day this weekend, I thought this is the perfect week to be giving a gift. So I went to last week's video and I did a random comment picker, and here is the name of the winner. So congratulations, Jean, or do you say Jeannie? I think it's Jean. You need to email me at judyscreations21@gmail.com. My email is in the description box below, and you're going to win this yarn from one of my Canadian dyers. I haven't done her yet, but I think some of you who've been here a while know that I have shown her yarn before, and the tag is caught, and it's from a dyer called Color of My Fiber, and she is in Quebec, and I will be doing her probably in June, because Ontario is going to take 2 weeks to get done. So in early June, we're going to be talking about Color My Fiber, but this is the yarn that you have won, Jean. So if you would please email me, tell me that you saw you won, and I need your mailing address to be able to send this to you. So congratulations. And that's all we have for today. Again, I want to remind you of the live next week And I almost also want to say that because we're doing a live next Thursday at 11 o'clock, I won't be putting out my regular weekly video. I'll be putting out the live. And I realize it's a weekday and a number of you do work. But if you're not able to make the live, it will be posted and you can see it in replay so you can learn all about the pattern. And I think it'll be a good time. And I hope that a number of you are able to join Lynanne and I next Thursday, May 15th at 11 o'clock. So hope to see you there. And until then, happy hooking.